What's up, y'all?
Welcome back to another cold edition of
Dad Talks.
It's probably colder this week than it was last week.
This might be our coldest episode yet. It's colder than the night episode.
Yeah.
At night.
Yeah. Either this week or last week was
Frigid.
pretty bad.
Frigid. It's supposed to climb up temperature-wise the next week or so,
Yeah, thankfully all the snow can melt.
yeah, I hope so. I want to get out and do something.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, tell me about your week. How was it?
I'd say my week was pretty laid back.
Yeah.
I am excited though because I did finally upload that video
Nice.
on my personal channel.
Yeah.
So I feel like now that I've gotten that out of the way, it's like, I don't know, I feel like it's making new videos doesn't feel so daunting anymore.
Yeah, you got the first step out. Now it's
Yeah.
just one foot in front of the other kind of thing.
Yeah, so I think now that I've gotten that out of the way, it was a lot of fun too.
Nice.
Finally editing it. It took 3 weeks to finish. Not because that's how long it took, but I just kept re-filming it.
Yeah, obviously you
Just
weren't
'cause
happy
in-
with it.
Yeah, and then my original plan changed because I didn't really have time. Having Oliver and other things just made it harder to make that original idea happen in the time that I wanted to. I knew that if I kept dragging it out, it would just probably not get done.
Yeah, I get that.
But that's pretty much it. Stayed home with Oliver for the week and worked on my video and got it out. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, say I watched it when it came out. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it. Much different than your J-Stew stuff, but
Yeah, very different.
it felt a little more intimate, which
Yeah.
I liked. I enjoyed that.
Just kind of testing some things out. Gonna try different types of videos and see what people like the most. But
Cool.
also just really just do whatever I feel like. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, but so Chris had a pretty busy / heavy week, and I told him I'm gonna laugh when I ask him, not because it's not funny at all, but I've been trying to prepare for this moment for like 2 or 3 days now, knowing I'd have to ask this. But I know you had a pretty heavy week. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so my grandma passed away. Yeah, that happened last week. Kind of knew it was happening just because she's been in the hospital for a week. She had an accident. But ended up going up to New York with my family. It was actually the first time everyone in my family had been together in a few years, which is crazy. Up in New York and spent some time with my family. Had the funeral and everything. It was heavy, but you know it was.
I got coffee on my white hoodie. Oh my god, dude. I'm like the worst person on the planet.
Oh my god!
I was really talking about your week. Oh my gosh.
You all right?
Yeah, I almost literally was choked. It's all over my hoodie. All right, and scene. Sorry, you're talking about your family. Sorry for ruining that pretty intimate moment.
No, it's good. I think we deal with the hard stuff the same way.
Yeah.
Or we don't.
Yeah, we don't.
It was good though. I think the biggest thing is like, the celebration of life, all of that was exactly what she would have wanted. It turned out the exact way that we all think that she would have loved. Ton of food. Grandma loved to cook. So basically after the whole service, everything, it was just everybody getting together. There was like over 100 people in this super small church that she went to every Sunday, like crammed in, just enjoying like good food, which was really cool. But the whole week kind of shifted perspective on like what's important in life. Like I felt guilty that I hadn't seen them in a while. just because, as a young adult, life starts to move fast. You're trying to build your life, and you're trying to figure out like what you're doing with your life. You're starting a family. You have all these like intricate things that you're building, and like I don't know if you just don't think about it, or like time slips faster than you realize, but just thinking about like what's important, like seeing Grandpa was incredible. Like it was really nice to spend time with family, and like we just laughed and cherished moments. But yeah, it's definitely like a perspective changing on what's important and who I want to go see and who I want to make sure I spend time with, and things like that. Because, dude, time it moves so quickly, and I don't think you realize it. It's like I just got married in 2020, and they weren't able to come just because of all of COVID and that whole mess. And I don't know. It was just like, the last time I threw out, like, talked to them about something was that long ago. You don't realize how quick it all goes.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I kind of went through that same thing last month with my grandfather. He passed away pretty randomly. He had pancreatic cancer, but it within finding out, he passed within 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks from finding out.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy, but I definitely can agree with you on that sense of it kind of didn't really click. And then when I went down there with family and everybody's talking about just life and memories, the only stuff people were talking about were moments spent together. No one was talking about accolades or anything like that. It was just how nice of a person he was, and he always sang and stuff like that. It wasn't about, how much money did he have, or what kind of house did he have? Stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting to think about, and it definitely changed my perspective, not only with that, but also that combined with being a dad.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. Whoa. That coffee from earlier is catching up. But I don't know, yeah.
I mean, it's all heavy stuff, and like thinking about like making sure that spending time with people that that you deem important in your life but you haven't seen in a while, or like sending that random text or calling somebody, like it all just like feels so much more heavy. It's like getting a random text from a friend you haven't seen in a minute. You cherish those of just like, shoot, this person's like thinking of me, or things like that. But
it's weird the way it makes you think, but I think it's for the better.
Yeah.
I think that's like the ultimate thing that I guess I'm trying to say is, it makes you realize that the important things really are the little things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, it doesn't mean, all right, just screw whatever you're doing, but just try to I think like we're all trying to do, we're all just trying to find that balance. But I think that balance leans a little bit more towards the more intimate moments than people realize. It's not all about the career.
Yeah, we talk about a lot so far in the podcast already that like we want to chase these dreams, and we have so much that we want to do, and so much we want to obtain. Like we want a different lifestyle for our kids than we've grew up with. And not saying our childhood or anything was bad by all accounts. Like I think our parents did great jobs, but just making sure that the next generation has better, and I think that's one of our drives. But you said earlier, thinking about like the moments like growing up with just spending with family, or like really close family friends who you call family at that point, like none of that mattered. It was just like those small details, like the things I remember like with my grandparents is like I saw this photo from 2001. I was 6, but they were both like sitting on those old classic lawn chairs, those like woven ones. Mm-hmm. Those are so cool now, but like seeing that picture, I was like, this is exactly like what I remember as an adult. Like that moment, like that was my childhood. Like seeing them sitting there, like next to each other, holding their hands, like those are the things that like I'll always remember. And it had nothing to do with what kind of car they drove or what lifestyle they were living. Like it just felt like home.
Yeah.
So it's super interesting. Like as an adult, when you're trying to build your own life, like being like, oh shoot, maybe I did have my priorities a little skewed. But bear with us too. It's like we're talking about something a little heavier that you can't really rehearse this kind of conversation.
Yeah.
We just kind of threw an outline to it. And we knew we were going to be talking about some of it, but it's been a weird week. I mean, definitely, it's like you just dealt with it. I'm dealing with it now, and so I don't know. Life's hard.
It is, and I think another thing that kind of made me realize when all that stuff happened with my grandfather was it made me realize that you don't have enough time for everything.
Yeah.
Like that was a big realization for me, and it's kind of it's tough because you can't please everybody. And I think that's something that, especially now, like the first couple weeks of having Oliver, so many people from my family were reaching out. Like it was almost too much to respond to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's hard to please everybody because you can't.
Yeah, I don't think there's never going to be a time where you can, but like, I don't want to say you prioritize other people over other people, but it's like at one point with that kind of stuff, it's like you have to make sure your family's taken care of, and then you move from there. It's like trying to balance those things are difficult.
It's just another one of those things that shows you just got to find that balance. Yeah. Where there's ways to make things work, where you do like family group chats, or I don't know, you're not gonna be able to do everything everybody wants, but there's a way. You just gotta get creative and think of ways to do what you gotta do for yourself, but also to make sure that you're still involved in people that are important to you. Yeah, so not losing sight of what's important outside of your own life, kind of thing. So it's obviously tough, and there's no perfect answer for that. Is he crying? He is. Well, it looks like he's awake. But he's not like. We're not fussy. He's just in the process of waking up. Yeah. Sorry, Oliver's inside on the baby monitor. We are watching him live. No, he's awake. Yeah, he's awake. Waking up. So we will take a intermission. Submission. Intermission. Yeah. Submission. What am I in the WWE? You see Amelia Snow Day? Yeah. It looked cute. That was when I was in New York. Yeah. Yeah, that was the cutest thing. Just absolutely screamed her head off of excitement. Sorry about that. Oh, shoot. Sorry. I was cleaning my boots off from snow. Sorry about that. It's a quick 5-minute intermission. Intermission. Yeah, not a submission. Yeah. Just had to make sure Oliver was okay. I put it back to sleep. The point I was trying to make before we went to take care of Oliver was there's really just no time like the present. That's something to think about too. Like, you want to have balance. You want to prioritize what's important in your life, whether that's your family or a specific part of your family. It's also important to prioritize, like, to not prioritize people who are family that aren't positive in your life. Yeah, I agree. That's also a big thing. That's a huge thing. It's like there are people who are technically just written as family, but they don't provide anything healthy for you. Yeah. I mean, and it's totally okay to not give attention, to not feed into those people. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something that people don't talk about a lot. Yeah. I mean, people that love you, that want the best for you, and that like you've created a true lasting bond with. I think that's the thing is like making sure that they are the people that you constantly invest in, like regardless of the distance. And, a real like cheesy way to talk about it is like our friendship is like you were super important to me and a good, like we had, I think, good influences on each other where some areas might have been bad, but whatever. I just think it's like you were in Colorado for a while and, I was in Delaware the time where we were both in Florida, like just like kind of moving around all the time. We constantly, we kept in touch even though like sometimes it would be like a month or two. Like, making sure the relation... It would. It's fine. It's like every time... No, sorry. You said kept in touch. I don't know why you laugh. I think just like, making sure that you pour into the relationships that are good or that last. Like, I don't know. I think that's small things you can do. But like that's...
I think like if you left, went to Colorado, and we just neglected the friendship, like
Yeah.
it would be, like our lives would be very different than they are now.
Yeah, like you know who those people are that are important.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you don't. It's not something that you should have to prove, or they should have to prove. Vice either way, like you know who those people are in your life.
Yeah.
Whether it's family or friends that deserve your time. But I guess a good way to segue is, like I can't talk.
It's cold.
It is
We're
very
still
cold.
we're still working through the cold. Like I
Yeah.
feel like we'll probably get more comfortable as the podcast goes, purely based on the fact that it's going to get warmer, and we will.
If we could survive another month.
I think the big thing is like we sat down and we were talking and we were like, oh man, we can see our breath. Like it's cold.
Yeah.
It's so cold. Unless someone wants to make a few $100 donation and we buy a heater for this bad boy.
Yeah. The thing is, we'll put the money into a heater and then we won't need it.
It'll be 60 degrees in
Yeah.
like a few months.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, I guess where I was going with that too is it just feeds into the balance of what we've been talking about, balance. And I think an important thing to throw into whatever you're trying to balance is yourself. It's important to not forget about yourself.
Yeah.
And I think with that comes not pushing things that you want to do back. It's just finding a way to fit it in without compromising your priorities.
I agree. Because
So-
we've talked about like there's never going to be a time, like you just have to kind of make time. And like you can fit that somewhere within your week or your month or a year, being like regardless of like, say a family member who lives hours away, you don't have to fit them in every week. You don't have to fit them in every month. But being like, I take 2 days, 3 days, like a weekend trip to go see this person or like spend time with them, like that's fitting them in and that's keeping them involved in
Yeah.
your life. And like that's reminding them that the distance, like regardless of what it is, you're still important to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely. And whether it's family or not, like even us filming this, we film this on Mondays in the morning
yeah.
because your wife, or both of our women are
Yeah.
at work.
Yeah, they're both at work.
Yeah.
And like we have this time, but like making sure that we make it work. And Oliver's still here.
Yeah.
Like Amelia's at daycare, but like Oliver's here. And it's like, we make it work. We had to have that brief intermission, but
Yeah.
We're making the time to do something we're passionate about.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it'd be a lot easier if we waited till 7:00 at night. So then Kirsten can take Amelia, Taylor can take Oliver, and then we could just hang out, let
Yeah.
loose, and then do whatever we want
But-
for an hour, 2 hours. But
Again, we're balancing our families and understanding that this is probably the better time. It's like
Yeah.
that nighttime episode we did, we had to do it just because the way everything worked out. But this is more cohesive to like our
Yeah.
to our family lives and making sure that we're creating a balance with pursuing our dreams, but making sure that we are putting our family in front.
yeah, exactly. I think we're making sure we're not missing out or compromising time with them.
Yeah.
To do this, but we're really, all we're doing is compromising our own time. Like this is time where you could be doing whatever you wanted, working on your engine, or I don't know, just having that. I'm really introverted, so it's really nice for me to have like an hour or two a day to myself.
Yeah.
And once you become a dad, that doesn't really happen.
No, it
anymore.
doesn't. It's like a fun balance too. You talked about being introverted. It's like I think about being I don't want to say I'm an introvert because that's far from true. But like I'm an extroverted introvert in the sense of like I love being around people, but if I don't get that time alone, I'm not the same.
Yeah,
It's like again, creating time
exactly.
and making sure that you hit it all, and it's hard. And you're not going to get it right. I think that's a big thing too. Is like we're talking about this balance and pursuing dreams and spending time with family and all of this. You will not get it right every time. There's going to be a lot of the time. Most of the time, I feel like we get it wrong.
Yeah, I just feel like life is just one big trial and error.
Yeah,
And then every time you goof or something doesn't work out, you just get a little bit better at whatever you're trying to accomplish. You're never gonna get there. You're just gonna keep trying it, messing up, and then every time you try and mess up, it's just not as bad.
It's a little more knowledge.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's too, like, that's just being a dad. Like, that's all of fatherhood.
Mm-hmm.
This whole thing is trial and error. Like, we're both learning, we're both trying to grow, but we're never gonna be perfect at it. And you know, like, we're taking the lessons we learned from our fathers and trying to instill them into our kids. But this is our first time doing it. It's like, hey, we read the directions, like, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we're doing it now. It's like, we're not going to get it right.
No.
Going to keep trying. We're just going to get better. And I think that's something that everybody should know, is that none of this is perfect. It's just going to be what it is. And you just have to make sure you keep getting better and keep pursuing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's tough and it's kind of cliche, but it's also, like, from my experience so far, it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's super important to prioritize things that you want to accomplish, because you don't want to lose yourself. But also, I know that there's a ton of regret when you go too heavy into something, or you prioritize this over, like, your family or something else, and then when you get the repercussions of it. So it's super challenging, but I think the important thing to take away from it is to just keep trying, keep working out whatever you're trying to do, but also make sure you're prioritizing people that are important around you. And if you do that, good things will come. Like, things don't have to happen overnight, but they're not going to happen without you trying.
Yeah.
You're not going to score if you don't take the shot, but you don't have to drop 30 every night.
Yeah, that's huge. I think that's my problem, is I just want it all to happen.
And
Like, I want to try and just be successful. I want to try and get it all right. Like, I know that's my problem on almost everything.
yeah, I think that's probably a lot of people struggle with, and that's my struggle. Is I'm so impatient, man.
Oh, dude.
So impatient. Like, I also just, I want to do things perfect. So it's like, the second that I do something, I'm not going to post it, or I'm not going to do it.
I think that's probably the thing that's, like, challenging the most about this podcast, is I want this podcast to look like, you know, we listen to the 505 podcast, nice plug. Or it's like, even like looking at the Kelsey podcast, or just any, like,
fantasy
anything
footballers.
I love the fantasy, dude. I love the fantasy footballers, but, like,
Wow.
there's so many people who've been doing this for years. You think about them, and you're listening, like, to those, and you're like, this is perfection, at least for me. And it's like, then we're putting out episodes, and they're raw. They're like, they're not perfected.
We don't have a jingle.
Yeah, we don't have a jingle. We don't have a soundboard. Like, we don't have mics. Like, you know, there's so much that I want to do better about it. But if I waited till then, we would never do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
If I waited to have the money to buy all the things, like, we would never do it. It's like, you just got to do it.
Exactly. It's the same with my photography, or even my YouTube channel. Like, when I posted that video, like, I knew it wasn't like some excellent YouTube video that's supposed to get a ton of views, but
Yeah.
I
Not
just
up
knew
to the
that
standards.
Exactly. Like, it wasn't to the standards of what I think is a good YouTube video, but I had fun making it, and I got better from it. And I'm not going to get better or get to this point where I could make a career out of it unless I keep doing it to get better.
Yeah,
There's like, I don't know, there's not some magic switch where if you just wait long enough, you just become good enough. You're only going to get better by doing it. So,
yeah. I wish I was a photographer with a few thousand followers on Instagram and a lot of fancy gear. Can't do that unless I take more photos.
exactly.
Can't do that if I edit more.
I'm just trying to photograph for World.
National Geographic.
Trying to photograph for Nat Geo, yeah.
Yeah, I only knew that because we've talked about it.
Even though they contract all their photographers.
Lame.
But still, I want to be that contract.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, is balancing.
Yeah.
Understanding that it will not all come easily. It's hard. But you just got to do it.
And we're still in our 20s.
Yeah.
Forget that sometimes. Because I'm almost 30 now.
Yeah, see, that's like the problem is I think about, I'm in my 20s, but then I'm like, I'm young, and then my back hurts, and then I'm sleep deprived, and then it's like, I don't know. 20s feels old sometimes, then also 20 feels like my life just started.
Yeah. Well,
It's a weird age.
it's just tough because I feel like I think it's because, or at least for me, I just feel like if I could just get it together, because I don't want my 30s to be me still figuring it out. Because I feel like in my head, like the 30s are like the 10 years of where life's the greatest.
Yeah.
Where you made it in your 20s, now you're young enough and cool enough in your 30s to enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, you're still cool, but now you got money.
Yeah.
Like
You're not 40 yet.
Yeah. No, I get it.
But I don't know. It's tough because I look at some people who are in their 40s and they're still loving life and living it up. So I don't know. It's one of those things where you just gotta, it comes back to balance. You gotta enjoy the moment, keep going after what you want to do, but don't overlook the small stuff.
Yeah, don't stress about you not being where you want to be because it's just a journey.
Exactly.
That's all it ever is. Like all of it.
When you get to this point, you're gonna think about how you need to get to this point.
Well, I think about that like with when I was young. My dad drove like a big truck, and he had a family, and like all of these goals I saw when I was like a teenager. I was like, I'll be happy when, and like I drive an F-150. I have a project truck. Like I have a great family. Like I love everything I have in my life, but I'm still not satisfied. Like, like when are we satisfied? Like when do we hit the pinnacle of like life is so great, like everything is all I ever wanted? Do you get there or do you just keep wanting more?
I think it's an outlook. I think it comes back like we keep saying balance, man.
Ah, God. Yeah.
Balance of opposites.
Oh my gosh. And you just plugged Ruka. That's terrible.
I'm not plugging them. Hey, they're still cool.
Yeah, they are cool.
The
Sorry, we get distracted so easily, and we have like so many things that I think we joke on that probably aren't funny, but
it's funny to us.
It's funny to us. Like we've had over a decade of friendship. Oh gosh, actually more
than that. Yeah.
16 years, whatever, a lot of years.
Too many.
Gotta end it now.
I was just kidding.
This is the last episode. Sorry, guys. We're not friends anymore.
I forget what we were talking about before
I don't know.
that.
See, this is a terrible joke that no one else would be laughing at except us.
I know.
Yeah. Balance.
Balance. There was a point I wanted to make, but
I made you forget it, didn't
yeah,
I?
you did.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I think...
Apparently you don't think.
What was I gonna say? Or I think for me too, I remember it now. I think when I had my son, I feel like it relit the fire to be more successful. I think that's like it's like a blessing and a curse, because it's not that I was just okay, but before him, I definitely wasn't by any means doing great. Like I could just go out and do whatever I wanted. I definitely was. Money was tight, but I was content.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I had him, it made me feel like I just needed to do all these things to make sure I could provide for him and give him a life that's so much better than mine.
Yeah.
So I think that's also a tough spot as a dad, because not that it's easier or harder to be content as a parent, but for me personally, it made me feel like I should be doing more.
Yeah.
Or not that I guess I should, but I want to. Like I want to do more.
Yeah.
So I can give him this life that he really wants. Your camera's about to die.
I guess it's a good time to wrap it up. I mean, none of this is
We
like...
can beat a dead horse about it.
Yeah. This whole thing is like, this was a heavy week for us. We didn't want to like skip over it and act like, life didn't happen like this. Because it does happen. And like, we talked about like what's important to us, but I think we'll get back to some more scheduled programming next week. Maybe a guest. Plug a little guest. Potentially. Just have to make sure that their schedule aligns with ours, but, we want to grow. We want to get better on all of the things that we're doing, so...
Yeah.
I think that's the right direction.
I think it'd be cool to introduce some people who have different perspectives than us. So
Yeah,
we can start really getting deep into conversation.
Yeah, you and I are on the same, life trajectory, and like talking to people who have a little bit of different things going on would be really cool. So, perspective and balance. Yeah.
Save.
Oh, I don't think about that.
You guys are gonna love this camera angle.
All right. I was trying to wrap wrap it up cleanly.